Rotary Clube Boca Raton West, unindo rotarianos de língua portuguesa no sul da Flórida.
Não dê motivos ou marque bobeira. Cuidado com o leão.
Imposto de renda bem feito é aquele onde sua empresa ou você ganha o máximo de retorno possível, ou economiza pagando menos impostos. Profissionais da Business Choice possuem qualificação e experiência para fazer tudo isso dentro da lei.
Faça seu Income Tax na Business Choice, a partir de $60. 954-782-1829.
Acesse bchoicetax.com ou ligue pra gente.
Rotary Club Boca Raton West is the first club in the United States founded and directed by Brazilians. Most of the meetings are conducted in Portuguese. That was not the case of the meeting of this 8th of December 2011, when the club was honored by receiving the Sheriff of Palm Beach County, Ric Bradshaw. Sheriff Bradshaw was introduced by the Sergeant of Arms of the club, Paulo Schneider.
Please help me welcome Sheriff of Palm Beach, Ric Bradshaw. Thank you.
Sheriff Bradshaw started explaining the demographics of the county and the areas of work of the Sheriff's Office.
Palm Beach County is the largest county east of the Mississippi in the entire United States, land-wise. You can put 2 Rhode Islands in this county. It's huge. The population is about 1.4 million. Now, the question I get all the time is, what's the difference between the police department and the sheriff's office? Let's take Boca Raton. Boca Raton Police, their only jurisdiction, their authority is only within the city limits of Boca Raton, just like West Palm and the rest of them. The sheriff, our jurisdiction is the entire county. That's important because most of the police agencies don't have the resources that we have, so we supplement them in many instances, like helicopters, dogs, bomb expertise, those type of things. I decided to start a gang task force, which was supervised by us. It's comprised of local agencies, state agencies, the federal government, the state attorney is involved in it. And during the last 3 years, we've arrested over 3,500 people for gang-related incidences. Seized about 500 firearms, most of those are rifles. That's their weapon of choice. And taken 6 of the worst gangs that the county has ever seen off the streets. We're working hard every day to get them off the streets. So that's our #1 priority. The second thing is, like you were talking about pill mills, found out about 1.5 years ago that we weren't paying attention to this. The state didn't have a database. Only 3 out of the United States didn't have a database that tracked who's getting drugs. We were one of them. So that's why you saw cars from Tennessee, Kentucky, Boston, it doesn't matter where it was at, coming down here to get their pills, is because we weren't tracking it, we weren't paying attention. And they got a foothold here. Fortunately, we did the same thing. We started a task force, state attorney, federal government, and we've cut the number of them about 60%. The other thing that I mentioned earlier was Homeland Security. It's probably more important than it ever has been. And not because we're worried about a huge threat from overseas. I mean, yes, you still have the Al-Qaeda people. What we're really worried about is the ones we call the lone wolves or stray dogs. All right? Those are the people, like the guy that walked in the army base and shot people, the ones that go to the schools, the one you saw in Norway, and you had a 19-year-old boy that was making liquid explosives in the garage in Ibis, a gated community up in North Palm Beach, and belonged to a splinter group.
Picanha Brasil, no almoço ou no jantar, completo buffet por peso, acompanhado de um delicioso churrasco. Aos sábados, suculento buffet de feijoada. Picanha Brasil, um local agradável para reunir-se com amigos e saborear um bom vinho. Aceitamos encomendas para festas. Picanha Brasil, no almoço ou no jantar, a melhor picanha. Na 441, entre a Palmeiro e a Hillsboro, em Boca Raton.
We got a tremendous amount of initiatives going on, but the fourth one that's probably one of the bigger ones is what we do with sexual predators, mainly kids. In Boca Raton, at a remote location, for lack of a better word, we have what we call a supercomputer. And a private entity has built and maintained this computer system, and the programmers have designed a program that will monitor and lock on to anybody that preys on kids on the internet. We've made about 150 arrests already monitoring these people, and there's a lot of them. It's amazing how many of them there are. You saw a little bit of this with the Sandusky case on TV. You just don't know. And these people are all over the place. So we try to keep our costs as low as we can keep it. And I've cut a lot of things over the past couple years that I really didn't want to cut, but they were programs that I wasn't mandated to do. Because there's one thing that I will never cut, ever. And that's deputies on the street that respond to help you. Won't do it. I'll fight it. I'm a very non-conventional wisdom person on immigration. In fact, I was one of the few sheriffs that turned down the immigration people about swearing the deputies in as immigration officers. All right? And the reason is this. It's just what we talked about. How can I have a community trust us? And it doesn't matter what the community is, whether it's Brazilians or whatever the ethnic origin is. How can they trust us if when the deputies come in there, they think they're there to gather them up and deport them? They're not going to talk to us. They're not going to interact with us. Right? We're not going to have that community trust. Again, I trust you, you trust me.
In the end of the event, Leslie Schreiber, the Governmental and Legislative Affairs Director of Sheriff's Office and the President of Rotary Club Boca Raton West, Francisco Pessoa, commented on the visit of Sheriff Bradshaw.
It's very important, and like he said towards the end of his speech, that we participate more. We want to participate. That's what Rotary does. We do joint projects. We don't have to create projects. There is so many of them.
There's a lot of things for the children here in our community. District 7, which is the the Sheriff's Department, District 7 is right up the road, Clintmore and 441. So perhaps we can get you in touch with them. And there's a million things that we could do to help you, and we'd be delighted.
Rotary Club Boca Raton West, unindo rotarianos de língua portuguesa no sul da Flórida.